Stuff. I just give everybody a couple seconds to get settled here. Right on. Well, hey, I'm really excited for today's call, today's conversation. I'm always excited for Mondays, but today is a special occasion. And we have a very special guest joining us today, Mr. Nolan Barnes. Nolan, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Matt. I had to relocate my office today. We're out of my condo here in Kelowna.
Oh, gorgeous, man. Look at that, hey?
Yeah, it's not a bad place to hang out. That's for sure.
And you didn't invite us, Nolan. I'm upset.
You're invited anytime. You come to Kelowna, I'll take you around. I'll show you the best time of your life. I promise. I love doing that.
I love it. He's got a boat in the water there too, so maybe drag you around the lake a little, Leon.
Well, we could do that. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, like I said, I'm super excited for our call today. I've had the distinct honor of knowing Nolan for, well, just about 10 years now, Nolan. Can you believe that? It's probably
crazy.
been like 8 or 9. It sounds crazy to say, but it's true.
Yep.
And for those of you who don't know Nolan, I could probably go on and on and on about Nolan, but Nolan is an entrepreneur. He's a business owner. He's a motivational speaker. He's a coach himself. And he's also an adaptive water ski world champion, like top of his game. So not to mention the fact that Nolan Barnes is just like a all around inspiring and great dude. So I'm honored that he was able to join us today, and I'm looking forward to getting to talk with you and for you to get an opportunity to kind of share some of your experiences and some of your story with our team.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm so pumped that you invited me on this call. Like Matt said, I've known him for a long time. He's known me long before I'm the guy that I am now. Back when I was just figuring my life out, and I was actually in a traumatic car accident. I don't know if you guys, you can't really see, but I'm wheelchair bound. So I broke my back in May 8th, 2010 in a motor vehicle rollover. I was coming back from a party with a whole bunch of friends, and making a series of poor decisions. We decided to drive back home after partying all night and not sleeping. A couple hours into our journey home, the girl driving fell asleep. She rolled her vehicle. I wasn't wearing a seatbelt, so I was ejected. I broke my back just below my chest. There was 8 other people in the crash. There was a series of there's one death and a series of other various injuries. It was a life-changing moment for sure. And so to kind of bring you back, going as an 18-year-old guy, 2 months left of high school, and everything you thought you knew and what you wanted in this world was taken away from you, or so I thought. It was a lot of really digging deep, self-discovery, some self-sabotage, but I was very lucky because I always had people come into my life at just the right time. Matt being one of those guys as well. Like sometimes opportunity doesn't have a big gleaming neon sign that says do this. It actually never does. Most of the time it's something in your gut. It's an instinct. It's something drawing you towards something, right? And that's not by mistake. That's by design. That's how life works. And I think becoming very self-aware, which everyone in this group I'm sure is on that journey as well, to discover yourself and to allow those opportunities to fall into your life. So to kind of fast forward a bit, I got involved in adaptive water skiing very early on. Once again, not necessarily I didn't really know where that was going to go. I just wanted to go out and ski because I thought, well, if I learn how to ski, I can go to the lake with my family and do something that's, out of the chair, that's a little bit different. And so, but by getting involved with that, just a short year later, I was put on the development team for Team Canada. They sent me down to Florida with my parents to do some training down there. A year later, I made the national team. And then, you fast forward 13 years later, and I've got a slalom world record. I'm still currently ranked number 2 right now in the world. I'm just shy of number 1, just barely. But we'll get that designation. Don't you worry.
The difference between 1 and 2 is what? It's a matter of like milliseconds. I bet.
It's all 3 events. It's a cumulative score of points. And so me and the number 1 guy, so the maximum amount of points you can get is 3,000. I'm at 2830. He's at 2860. And the next person down is all the way down to like 2,300 or something. So there's quite a gap between me and him and the rest of the circuit. But
wow. Hey, a little friendly competition is not a bad thing though, is
Oh,
it?
I love it. Yeah, exactly. He used to help me out and send him videos and we'd train. Now he doesn't do that anymore. He's a little worried. Doesn't give me any of his secrets, but
He sees you as a threat now, huh?
oh yeah, absolutely. The guy's been on top for like 9 years. No one's been beating him. So
Interesting.
someone's gonna do it. It's gonna be me. But yeah, but you know what sport gave me too is not only did it give me the opportunity to see a different life for myself and some opportunities, but it brought me in a circle of people that would forever change my life. So how it went actually is I started going to the gym by myself once I got out of rehab. I knew that physical fitness is very important for someone with a disability. So I went to like a community gym and I ended up hurting my rotator cuff to the point I couldn't ski. But I go out to the ski site anyways and hang out and just watch. And this guy named Donnie shows up at the ski site. I know Leon and Matt are laughing there because they know exactly who this guy is. That's how we all know each other. So he says, "Hey man," he's like, "I got a massage therapist at my gym. You should come and get some work done from her." And so I went in there for about a couple of weeks with working with Kara. And then one day I was leaving my session and he says, "You want to come work out with me?" Like, yeah, sure. He's like, "I've never worked out with a guy in a chair, but I want to learn." And so he gave me that opportunity to come and work out with him. And then remember the one day he was telling me his fees, and I said, "I can't afford to do that." And he gave me an ultimatum. He says, "If you come 3 days a week, I won't charge you. But if you skip, I'm going to send you a bill." And so I came 3 days, at least 3 days a week for like 3, 4 years. I really took that opportunity as, him kind of sticking his hand out for me, like giving me a super deal. And but I was going to a gym full of people that were entrepreneurs. As Mac can contest, most of the people there owned a business or did something, a little bit more than the 9 to 5, right? And so it was an awesome environment to be in to learn and grow and to think differently than how I was raised. I'm not sure where you guys came from or your backgrounds, but I know that I wasn't raised in an entrepreneurial family. I was raised in a middle income class family. My parents did well for themselves, but nothing, I never lived an extravagant lifestyle, that's for sure, especially when you're sharing that with 3 siblings. So, and by get so, when I was 2 years after post injury, I went into college. I started working as a parts manager for a construction company. And after about a year being in there and being, just not loving it, I knew that my life was designed for something more than that. And as a part-time job, I was doing speeches to high schools all over Saskatchewan and soon to be all over Canada. And, I didn't charge a whole lot for it. It was more or less really helping me kind of come to terms with this injury and what my life was going to look like. About a year into working at my job, I had a lady come over who's a financial advisor, and she had taken over all my files. And one day she said, "I think you'd be really good at this, Nolan." And I said, "I've failed every math class I've ever taken." I'm like, "I don't think I'd be very good at that." And she said, "Well, no." She's like, "I can teach you all the fundamentals and stuff like that." She's like, "What I can't teach is how to talk to people, how to make people feel comfortable. Like that's a very hard skill to teach." And so I decided to jump on board with that. A few months later, I was pretty excited with my new career, and I was, just working part-time as an advisor, full-time as a parts manager. And I was sitting in the coffee room and I was talking about all these things that I want to do with my life. And everyone kind of just laughing in there. And they said, "Nolan, how the hell are you gonna do that working here?" And I sat there for a second. I thought about it. I'm like, "You're right. How am I gonna do that working here? I'm not." That's it. So I started to plan my exit out of my career and to go full time into my financial services position, which is straight commission, no base salary. I just built a new house, kind of a scary jump to do, but about 6 months later, finally I had my 2 weeks in my desk forever, and finally the HR lady just kind of was the end of my rope with her, and so I went to my boss and handed him my 2 weeks and said, "You know what, I'm going to do something else." I said, "I appreciate everything you've given me, but I'm like, I see what you can do for your family. I know working for you, I'll never be able to provide that. So I need to go out on my own and make a living." He offered me a $6 an hour pay raise, 6 weeks vacation, executive benefits. Like he really sweetened the deal to try and get me to stay. But I compromised, said I'd give him about a month to train a new guy, and I was gone. So I remember, my first couple of days not working a job, pretty exciting. And then the bills coming in for the month, and you realize you took a $60,000 a year pay cut. Quite scary. All of a sudden now your back's up against the wall, right? And it's fight or flight kind of thing, right? Like giving up wasn't an option. It was make it through, make it through, make it through.
You burned the boats.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There is no going back. I mean, to me, that's a complete failure. As much as, no disrespect to anybody that's working, but for me to go back now and work a job just doesn't make sense, because over the years, I've just realized how valuable my time is. And I say, don't trade, don't trade your hours for dollars, right? Trade your hours for assets, right?
Mm,
Learn to build something that pays you when you're not there, right? And so, um, fast forward a little bit more, 2021, I decided, I was a part of this real estate investment group in Saskatchewan, and there was a young guy on there teaching Airbnb, like how Airbnb works and professional management. Well, this kid was 26 years old and he was running 70 Airbnbs in Calgary. And I thought, holy smokes, like that's some big time stuff. So I took this course, and it was a 6-week course on basically how to go from nothing on, and then by the end of 6 weeks, you have a unit, right? And so I was actually the slowest person in my group. I was just dogging it, but I wasn't really convinced if Airbnb would be a living that, or a real good business. So I talked to some hosts. I just went and pretended to book a place, and I would just ask them how they were doing and about their financials. And some people were happy to share, some didn't share at all. But once I had enough information, I realized there's a business here. Like this can pay for the life that I want to live without me having to work in my business 24/7. And so I took the leap. And fast forward 3 years later, I probably have the most units out of anyone that was in that group, or if people are even still in it, I'm not sure. But I took that seriously. So started out with a unit in Calgary that I rented and subleased, meaning I don't own the property. I went there and negotiated a contract with a developer that I was going to rent one of their rentals, and I was going to sublease it as an Airbnb. So I started with that. Then 3 months later, I converted my basement suite into an Airbnb as well. And then the next year in May, I purchased this beautiful condo out here in Kelowna, BC. I also got a second unit in Calgary. And then I think it was 2020. I also had bought a duplex in Saskatoon. And so, I'm up to 7 rental doors now, and basically for the most part pays for my life. Like I don't really need to do much more than just that. But I always say trade a good life for a great life. So as soon as it got easy and as soon as things were just rolling smooth, I was like, I need to make life difficult on myself again, because that's when I really do my best work.
mm,
I'm a most people are scared of dying of cancer, heart attack. I'm scared of mediocrity. I'm scared of being like everybody else. So I look what everybody else has. Like, just think of it. Look around. Like, think of all your friends and family. How many people are genuinely happy with what they do? How many people would do anything to trade some of that time to have more time with their family, take more vacations, sit around the kitchen table and we'll talk about things they want to do, not about the financial struggles that they're going through, right? That's my biggest fear. And so I want to stay as far away from that as I can. So I made the leap and I decided to move out to Kelowna, BC. Left my family and my friends, and I have a pretty good group of friends that I already knew out here, but basically left it all behind and took a stab at trying something else. I wanted to go to a city where it's growing and bustling, and for entrepreneurs out here, there's endless opportunities just constantly, right? And if you can't tell, I like talking and I'm pretty good at networking. And so it didn't take me long before I really dug my roots in here. And I've just been looking at needs in the market. So, this last year when I was running my first year at this condo here, I noticed that everyone was having issues with cleaning, having tough time finding cleaners, having tough time, cleaners not really caring or putting a lot of attention to detail into it. So this spring came around, and I said, you know what? I can run a cleaning company. It's not what I really want to do, but what I want to do is property management. How do you get into property management? Well, get into people's units, do a good job cleaning, do the extra above and beyond things, the maintenance, whatever else, and you'll get some jobs. And so that's what I did this year. Started this cleaning company. We're growing every week. I'm picking up new units, and I'm going in and my cleaners are cleaning these units, and I'm fixing their cabinets, and just kind of giving them little suggestions on things that I would do based on my experience. And just this last week here, we had a meeting, and I'm going to be picking up four units to manage next year in this condo here, right? And for 2 months of the summer, each unit's going to pay at least $9,000 to $12,000 per unit, just in management, just for 2 months. And so, it's pretty pretty crazy to think about when I look back at all. Like, I went a very brief summary of my story, but to think that I'm out here with a disability, living in one of the most expensive places you can live, but doing, quite well and providing a service that people find extreme value in. And, it's this is paving the way to living the life that I've always wanted to live, right? I found out how to do a business. I created a system for the business. All I need to do now is duplicate, 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 duplicate. And I started actually coaching hosts for how to do Airbnb. I say Airbnb, there's lots of different sites, but it's kind of like Kleenex, any kind of short term. Like, yeah.
Right.
So I started doing that monthly. At one point in time, I thought, is this a smart idea, adding competition to the marketplace? But I looked at it a little differently. I'm like, it's not so much adding competition, it's adding quality. We have quality hosts doing quality rentals, professionally, then it gives the whole industry as a whole a good reputation. We have people coming in doing terrible jobs because they're going to do it anyways, with or without my help, right? So if they're going to be doing it not a good job, then that's what gives the industry a bad name. And so I decided, why not? I'm going to teach people all over North America how to run these, how to scale your portfolio, more or less. Like, doing one Airbnb isn't so bad. Trying to manage 7, 10, 20, 40, 50. That's where you really have to get your systems in place. And then I know how to do all that stuff. And so I thought,
that's one thing that I've always admired about you, Nolan, is your attitude. You just got a phenomenal attitude. And, we talk lots in some of our coaching calls and programs and things about how opportunity usually comes disguised as like a setback or a heartbreak or a temporary defeat or something like that. Or in a lot of cases, making that scary leap into the unknown. And I think you just touched on a couple of points there where you've done that and embodied that and acted on that. But let me ask you, how important is just mindset in general for you? Like, and some of the work that you've done either with coaches and that kind of thing, but how important is mindset for you? And whether that's positive mental attitude or gratitude or perspective or things of that nature.
Mindset is so huge. And, I found this last fall, me really kind of starting to sink. I kind of took my foot off the gas in my business a bit. We had a bit of a tough winter. I wasn't being very creative on my negotiations or how I was planning to get it through the slow season. And so I just kind of felt a little bit down, honestly. And I remember actually, it was Matt's very first retreat. I was very honored to be on that retreat. And, Matt did this one thing where it was like, what do you call it? The wheel of life.
Right.
Where we had a little questionnaire. We wrote down this questionnaire, all different aspects in our life. And then there was like a little scale you would rate it on. And then you draw a little pie chart, and you would draw out the pie chart based on the percentages of where you were being fulfilled or not fulfilled in your life. And one thing I looked at, I had 2% of my spirituality. I'm not necessarily a religious person, but spirituality also goes into your mindset, energy. Like, I wasn't looking into myself anymore. I started out when I first got hurt. That was a lot of self-development that went into that. But the problem is when we start feeling good, we kind of take our foot off that. Like, well, we don't need self-development anymore. No, you need to do it every day, because it's easy to do it in the days you feel like doing it, but learning to do that when you don't feel like doing it and things are going wrong, and you're just having one bad incident after another, that's when it's most important. And so what it did is I had to learn how to restructure my days and to develop that mind. It's no different than going to the gym in the morning or something, right? You got to work on this guy so that you're ready to take on these challenges, and you're not going to let that old paradigm get in the way of scaring you off from doing what's right or what you need to be doing. And so it started with things like getting up in the morning, going to bed earlier, getting up earlier. I was doing 5 a.m. for a while there. I'm doing about, between 6 and 7 a.m. I'm always up. I spend at least 1/2 hour without my phone, because I know if I pick up my phone, then the workday starts. So I get out my patio, have my coffee. I look out at this beautiful place I live. And I just think every day how grateful I am to be here. I think about my mom and dad. I think about my nieces, my nephews, my sisters, my friends, my mentors, everyone that's in my life. And I'm just grateful for that. And I just bask in that mindset. And then I go and I pick up the phone. Then I get the emails. Then I get someone left a mess here. Then I get all this other crap. But at that point, I'm already charged. I'm ready to go. It's like, come on, world, come at me. Take a couple shots at me. I'm ready for you, kind of thing, right? Like that was honestly a massive game changer into getting to where I'm at now, and just having that conviction that I'm going to be the best at what I do. I mean, I don't do things half-assed. If I'm going to do it, it's all the way, 100%. We're doing it till it's done. That's my mentality, right?
I love that, Nolan. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in the last couple of years too, is I'm somewhat of an emotional guy. And for a lot of these people, they'll know, I mean, I think I've cried in front of this crew more than I have just about anybody else. But I am emotional, I'm sensitive. And what that means is that sometimes I'm a little bit sensitive to the energies of the people and the outside world around me. And when I start my day, I need to be very intentional about making sure that I'm not opening myself up to being vulnerable to the negative energy on social media, the news, or opening my email and getting, bad news or something of that sort. And so just like you, I need to get a firm grasp on myself, my mindset, my attitude, my energy, and set that before I even like approach the outside world. But once I do that, I'm in much better position to deal with anything that's going on that day. And life happens and stuff comes at you, like you said. But if you're not taking that time to kind of set your mind right before that, the tendency to get whipped around can be pretty strong. You know what I mean?
100%, 100%. And life's going to suck. No one ever said it would be easy, right? We all got to pay our tax, right? We gotta go through that struggle and to get what we really want. Just imagine for a second, Matt, if your life was just the same all the time,
Right.
you'd never be happy or sad. You wouldn't even know what that's like.
Right. Yeah.
Just think in your life, think of someone that's had like the worst time ever and they've somehow, prevailed and made it because they went to that low of a level. That even if they're like, even if their high is a little bit less than what you would consider a high, emotionally, it's twice as charged because they've seen the shit. They've seen
Right.
rock.
Right.
So anything above that is uplifting, whether people that haven't had a lot of struggle, it's a little bit tougher to get the fulfillment out of life because you haven't really felt that down. You know what I mean? You haven't been in the
Right.
downs.
That law of polarity tells us that in order to appreciate the light, we've got to experience the dark.
Yeah.
So I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Well, we have a few minutes here. I was going to see if to open up the floor, if there's any questions or anything that anybody would like to ask Nolan here today.
Absolutely. Literally anything you could ask. You should see the questions I get asked in some of these high schools and stuff I've done. But actually,
I know what Donnie would ask you.
Elementary schools are a little funner. They're a little less filter, but yeah.
One question that I had for you, Nolan. Sorry, go ahead, Leon. Go ahead.
Oh, no, it was just in case Skylar wanted to say something.
Hey, Skylar.
I was just going to ask you, Nolan. I think that perspective is a very, very powerful and potent thing. And one thing that I was super intrigued by and curious about was I did a little research in preparation for this call today. And if anybody's interested, you can find out a whole lot about Nolan. You just do a quick little Google search.
Yeah.
But I learned something that I didn't know about you before. And I learned that you started doing your motivational speeches and speaking to groups of people, whether maybe that's students at the time, only 5 short months after your accident.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what inspired you or what motivated you to do that, because that sounds to me like a very powerful shift in perspective. It would be easy for somebody to feel sorry for themselves and to lick their wounds and to, swear off the world and do any number of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was again, it was an opportunity that popped up that didn't look like an opportunity at first. my physiotherapist was supposed to do like so it was called something called the party program, where they bring the high schools to the hospital and they run them through a bunch of stations where there's like you go to your physio department, you go to see the police, you go to the emergency room, you talk to a coroner, you talk to so basically all the stages of a traumatic accident. And she asked me just to come give her a hand, doing the, it was kind of a 10-minute little speech, show them how to do a transfer, you know, and do it like 5 times throughout the day. And they give me $50 and, and go and talk to these kids. And at the time I'm 18, they're like 16. So like, these are people my age. Uh,
Mm.
and so I said, yeah, sure, I'd do that. And I didn't realize how much that helped me, talking about this. And this wasn't all for nothing. I could help somebody. And then eventually, it was that following spring that they asked me to do my first like 1 hour long. I made a slideshow of my accident. I made a whole presentation based around my story. And, I went and did this speech in front of, it was 18 kids, I think it was. I was so nervous. I pulled over on the side of the highway. I was throwing up. I was like, oh my God, this is terrifying. And went in there. My sister filmed it. I wish I got to see that film again. It was so bad, probably. But anyways, I went and told my story. And then when I got out of there, it was like the greatest feeling in the world, knowing that someone out there might needed to hear that. Right. And then everyone that's been involved with me or hired me throughout the years watched me grow and watched my story change year by year. Right. Growing from a boy to a man. Right. Like, and all my successes along the way, I got to share those kind of things. And fast forward, and I've talked to tens of thousands of people all across Canada. I've done like massive conferences, right? And it's funny that the 18 people I talked to is my most scariest one, but I go in front of 2,000 people and not blink an eye. But that comes with conditioning, and that just comes with having confidence in your message and your story. Like I'm not sure what you guys all do for a living, whatever, and I'm sure that we made a really good choice by hiring a mentor. Because it's like you go into the gym without a personal trainer, you never went to the gym before. Yeah, you might get some results, but you're probably getting them a lot faster if you just get on the right track right away. Not to mention the accountability is huge. We don't like most people. I would say, Matt, what do you think? Sometimes accountability sucks.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
That's just
I mean,
all the
nobody
time.
wants to be held accountable to the stuff they
No,
say they're going to do.
no,
Lots
no,
easier
no.
just to talk.
Exactly, because you can bullshit everyone else, right? But you can bullshit.
Right.
You're not going to bullshit your mentor. They'll see right through it.
Right. Yeah.
But you need it though. You need it, and it's that sense of accountability that you need to have in your business as well, because there is no person putting the thumb on you, right? Like your income's a direct reflection of your work ethic. If your income's not there, you're not working on enough. You're not talking to enough people. You're not
Mm.
opening up doors, right? And so, congratulations for taking this step and working with a great guy like Matt. I've also seen Matt grow. I've seen him before he was a coach. I've seen him when he just quit law school and can be a personal trainer. And same thing with me, probably worked for pennies compared to what he could have been doing, right?
It's a process, isn't it?
It is. It is. But look at we're sitting here now and we're enjoying our lives. And you know what? If nothing ever changed in my life and I died tomorrow, I lived this thing to 110%. I left nothing on the table. Even things like, my mom would call or something. I never take an opportunity to not talk to my grandma, my mom, my family, my niece, my nephew, that friend I haven't talked to in a while. I know how precious life is when you come this close to dying, that every single day is a gift that we get. And, I'm not going to take one off and let, so what someone said to me or let a bank statement or a politician or something take that away from me, right? That's invaluable. There's no price on that.
I've shared this before, but you and I actually have something in common or something similar, and that's that I've had a near-death experience myself, and involved in a pretty serious single vehicle rollover, and was left hospitalized. Luckily, nobody was killed or hurt worse, but at the risk of turning this dark, I think about death often. And I oftentimes think that I was given a second chance. And it sounds to me like that's probably something that has affected you on a deep emotional level too. It's hard not to, really. But it gives you a new lease on life and the ability to see life through a different lens, doesn't it?
It does, like I wanted to be a power lineman and a farmer. I used to train horses and I owned cows. I was buying, most people were buying cars in high school. I was buying cattle. I worked at a cattle auction
Interesting.
mart, and that was my plan, was to build this farm with my dad. And they bought the farm the year before I was injured, and dad was just retiring, and that was our plan. So that all got ripped away, and I didn't want to do anything else. That's all I ever wanted to do, right? But what was in my subconscious was the things that I really wanted. I wanted to
Mhm.
travel. I wanted to be a professional athlete. I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to be a popular person. I wanted to help people. I wanted to make a good living, right? I got all that. I got it all. But I had to go through some crazy stuff to get to that point. And everything, hindsight's always 2020, right? But just think of it, in 10 years from now, I'm 31 years old. The 41-year-old Nolan is going to say, you should have started today. Don't wait till tomorrow, right? Or it was a quote. Oh, I was gonna save that. I forgot it, but it was something like, it's like the people that wait to do it tomorrow. Maybe you know this one, Matt. People that wait to get like that put things off till tomorrow. I can't remember something about failures, anyways. But it kind of rang that bell because I did that a lot. That was something that just recently I've started to change. Where it's like, I'll do my e-transfers tomorrow. I'll pay these accounts tomorrow. But I'm sitting at home watching the Blue Jays game. Grab
Right.
your computer, do it then, make your bed in the morning, set that alarm. I don't care if I slept 5 hours, it's 7 a.m. It's time to get up. There's things to do, right? Like just get in that habit of just doing it right now and getting it done. And just that alone will change your life. And one more thing, I don't want to keep you guys too long, but one of my favorite quotes is find something in your life that doesn't serve you anymore and get rid of that, and your life will instantly change.
Mm.
Sometimes we think of change as like we have to change everything, like it gets to be insurmountable in our brain and very scary. Find one thing. Quitting smoking. That's one of the hardest things I ever had to do. You can quit smoking, you can do anything, right? And addiction in general, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is. If you can quit that, you can do anything because of that sense of empowerment. So
Right.
start with one little thing. It might start with making your bed. It might start with, getting up an hour earlier. It might start with, maybe you're not going to go and spend 8 hours with that friend you love spending time with, but they take a lot of energy from you, right? Maybe you scale back on that. Just find one thing in your life that doesn't serve you and change that, and your life will change.
Yeah, small things, they add up over time, don't they?
They do.
Well, sometimes some of those things that you mentioned, they're not even small things, but
Yeah.
all of those changes, they matter.
Yeah,
Mm.
totally. Like if you're stuck in a rut, just start with one.
Right.
Start with one.
Yeah. And
And
start small.
you'll start to get out. It's kind of like you get, us prairie boys, right? You get stuck in someone's field kind of thing. Starts with a little bit of a rock. Once you
Yeah.
have momentum, then you can start pulling yourself out, right? But if you don't
Get that
move,
momentum going.
yeah, you're gonna be there forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll just say, Matt, that the first time I met Nolan, I remember this guy wheeling into the gym, and I had my doubts about what he was going to be able to do, but I know we worked out 3 or 4 times together, and every time I was the one gasping for air, and he was pushing me, and it's like, if Nolan can do it, I can do it. So become a good friend, and got a lot of inspiration out of Nolan.
wow, that's true. And that's saying a lot because Leon's in wicked good shape.
He's a workhorse, man. That guy can
Yeah.
work.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, any other little questions or comments or anything that anybody would like to ask before we depart here?
And I'll speak at once now. No, I'm kidding. You
Well,
guys
I had one more question here for you, Nolan, and then I'll let you run, bud. But I was going to ask if you had to share one lesson or one idea as far as mindset is concerned, what would that be to leave these people with on a note of either positivity or inspiration?
write things down. Write things down. Write your goals. Leon's an engineer, right? I'm a reverse engineer.
Ah, I like that.
I write down what I want per month, and think of the big goal. Then it's once you dial that down. Okay, if I want to make my goal is $50,000 a month for 12 months a year, I can do that for a couple months of the year, but 12 months a year, 50,000 a month. That seems like a big number, but when you start scaling that back down and you see what do I need to make per day, all of a sudden it's like that's not so bad. If I have to make $381 per day, okay, so I have a cleaning company, I make $100 per clean. So if I can get 2 to 3 cleans per day, I can do that. But I also have my Airbnbs and I have my book of business for my financial services business. Like start adding that all up, and all of a sudden I'm making $381 a day pretty easy. Like it happens every day. Now you start adding that up. It's like, oh wait, what is it? Oh wow. Like all of a sudden you're chopping at that goal and you're like, oh wow, I'm gonna make 40 some $1,000s this month. Okay, I need to make 10,000 more. The first 10,000 is the hardest to make. After that, it's just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Right? Like I said, or what do they say? The first $1 million is where you learn everything. When you make your first $1 million, that's where all the struggles and the crying and the heartache and everything else happen. The next million's easy because you just do the same thing over again without all the heartache.
That's what they say, that the first million's hard, but the second million's inevitable.
Yep, exactly. It'll happen, right? I mean, I moved to a place where I'm around people that think way bigger than most people have been around. There's lots of celebrities that live out here. There's lots of just people that have done, great successful businesses that have kind of sold out or moved over here. And you brush elbows with these people all the time because in my subconscious, I want to meet these people. So those opportunities come up weekly where I see a guy in a nice car driving a Ferrari. I stop and I talk to him 15 minutes, find out a little bit what they do. And most people are willing to share. I think a lot of people will see a rich person and say, well, they're stuck up snob, and there are some of those, trust me. But most time the people would love to tell you what they do. And then that's a contact that you have in your back pocket. So when you do need some help or some advice, you have that call. You have an investment opportunity that comes up, you need some money, you give that person a call, right? And that can help, that can help get you to where you need to go. So yeah. But
I would agree 100% that your environment, the power and importance of your environment cannot be overstated. And I think that surrounding yourself with the dreamers, the thinkers, the doers, and the movers and the shakers, man, and the people who are making big stuff happen, it'll change the way that you think. It's hard not to. And I think that's one of the things that you and I have really benefited from is surrounding ourselves with mentors and coaches and people who are inspiring us. Maybe even, I often say that my coaches and my mentors saw something in me that maybe I didn't even really realize was there. And I think that it says a lot about surrounding yourself with the right people.
100%. Yeah, write your goals down and don't think of those ugly numbers like the debt, the other things like that, because that is it's such a powerful feeling. Think of going bankrupt and just think of the feeling that comes in your chest when you think of that, how powerful that is, right? That's an easy one though, because we're all used to getting surrounded with that. That's like, just keeps on coming back. But then replace that $50,000 of debt or bankrupt, but think about hitting the lottery. Think about just getting a $50,000 paycheck. And that feeling's reversed, but it's the same emotion, right? And so that's the power of writing things down and being sure of your goals, having someone hold you accountable, and you'll find your life will just start to change drastically. I'm a very fast manifester, so it works good and bad. I'm very conscious of when my mind slips because I can easily get down the rabbit hole, but also on the opposite is true as well, right? If I'm thinking positively, those things can come quickly, right? Like I used to make $30,000 a year for 11 years. 11 years, I got paid another 30,000, 20,000 disability. I couldn't make over 30 because I was going to get my disability cut off. Then finally one day I was like, screw it, man, that's not enough money. What's $781 every 2 weeks? That's not, and that's not getting me towards my goals and dreams. Inflation's 6%. I'm getting paid a 1.6% index. That's not going to do it, right? As soon as I kicked that bucket, I quadrupled my income in 2 years.
Interesting.
That's after tax I'm talking, not like gross. So just like that, I made a decision to change. I gave up something that was holding me back. It gave me comfort, but it was holding me back. Gave that up, never looking back. No, we're just getting started, Matt.
Just getting started. I love that. Right on.
Yeah, I figured it out now. And I was gonna exactly.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Nolan, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us today. You've echoed a lot of the same things that we've been talking about for a while, as far as positive mental attitude, about the power of your subconscious mind, about writing down your goals, about, taking opportunities and how they're often disguised as either setbacks or failures, and making the most out of those, just life in general. And so I just, sometimes it's helpful when, you hear things from another person's perspective or point of view. And these are things we've been talking about, but to hear it from someone like yourself is very motivating, very inspiring, and just kind of confirms a lot of those things that we've been discussing. So I appreciate you joining us today, and thanks everybody who's able to make it. And I look forward to speaking with everybody soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Nolan.
Go kick some ass out there.
Yeah, kick some ass.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Take care.